European Commission.
All right, Sylvia, thanks a lot for getting us all of those details. That's everything that we're tracking globally. But let's now talk about the cues that you should watch as we get into this fresh trading session. We have our research team here with the trade setup. Ekta, Nigel, and Vahishta all join me now. Guys, a very good morning to all of you. And Ekta, let me come across to you first. We definitely got a very good close yesterday. How's it looking this morning?
Well, yes, yesterday the sentiment was definitely on the positive side. We had the Sensex, which hit a record high. The Nifty Bank closed above 43,000 after hitting a live high intraday. And the Nifty posted a record close. So really a lot of records were broken yesterday. The global momentum is intact as the US Fed is looking to slow the pace of rate hikes. That's what the minutes indicated. And the FII's net bought around 1,231 odd crores. This is after 6 to 7 consecutive sessions of selling. So that was definitely a positive. And DII's net sold around 235 odd crores. Now the Nifty is around 120 points away from its live high. So the market momentum, it seems to be intact, but let's see once there is a full amount of participation which comes in from the US, considering that the US markets were closed for Thanksgiving. It will only be open till 1 p.m. this afternoon on Friday. So maybe that momentum would probably take a little longer. Maybe the momentum in terms of FII flows would need to be seen once the US markets come back in full swing. Europe, however, closed higher on optimism from the Fed, plus you did indicate there was some data from Europe. Asia is largely sluggish this morning, probably because of the China COVID-19 cases. Brent crude continues to be at multi-month lows, so that's definitely a positive. So overall, this is the setup. Lower participation, but it seems as though the larger momentum of a slower rate hike from the US is probably going to keep our momentum intact for our markets.
All right, Ekta, thanks a lot for taking us through all of those cues. It looks like we might get a slightly lower start, but let's see how the trading session pans out from there. And we're also going to talk about all of the individual stocks that you should have on your radar today. So Vahishta has that entire list. Good morning, Vahishta.
Good morning, Pavitra. Let me start with Lupin, wherein the US FDA has issued Form 483 with 8 observations for the drug product facility and API facility in Mandideep. Moving on to Punjab National Bank, wherein the bank has received the approval from DIPAM for divestment of stake in UTI Asset Management Company in either single or in multiple tranches, and PNB currently holds 15.2% stake in UTI AMC, and the objective is to realize a gain on their investments. Next is Tube Investments of India, which will be picking up 50% stake in X2 Fuels and Energy, which is a startup company engaged in developing processes to convert waste to liquid or solid fuels for approximately 6-7 crores. Laurus Labs has entered into share subscription agreement with and the shareholders agreement with Athen Energy India for buying 26% stake in Athen Energy India, which will enable the company to consume 100% of the solar energy to be supplied by Athen Energy India from their 10 megawatt solar energy plant. And the last is KIOCL, wherein the operations of the pellet plant at Mangalore have restarted yesterday. Back to you.
All right, Vahishta, thanks a lot for that entire list of stocks. We're going to keep these on our radar in today's session. But finally, let's talk about the cues from the futures and options space. Nigel, it might be the end of the week, but it is a brand new start of a new session.
Well, that's right. It's a new session. It's a new series as well, and all-time highs on our radar. But yesterday, what a fantastic close we had to trade. The Nifty moved up. We ended at the high point of the day. The bears got caught on the wrong side. And in the final hour of trade, once we crossed that 18,430 odd mark, well, it was the bulls all the way. In fact, the final tick was around 18,520, but because of averaging, it ended a little below that. The good point was the FIs, well, the flows were back yesterday. They pumped in more than 1,200 crores, and this was after a 4-day break. And look at the data together. The institutions were net buyers. The last 4 sessions, they were net sellers. So the money was back from the institution front. Well, in terms of the FIs at the start of a series, this series, it's a contrary to what they did at the start of the October series, because that time they were net short big time. Just take a look at the long positioning. That's the longs minus shorts, close to around 90,000 contracts on the long side. Now, if you look at the positioning and if you want to see the returns, well, it's interesting to see what happens in December, but you can't really derive anything because at the start of October, they were heavily net short, well, and you got some good returns. And last month, well, they were heavily net long, but still we got some good returns. The problem is this time around, they're even more net long. So interesting to see how this plays out. But nonetheless, put writing continues. 18,400 put, 18,300 put. Between them, close to around 80 lakh shares were added. And that's where the bulk of the open risk is as well. So make trend your friend, and the trend is upward right now. So, you need to stay long on the index. You could get a bit of a pullback of around 100, 200 points odd, but that's par for the course. The support zone comes up for you on the screen, 18,250 to around 18,300, just going by the options data. And the Nifty is looking good, and everyone's celebrating that. But the mid-cap index needs to catch up. And the last 1 month or so, the mid-cap index has been lagging what the Nifty has been doing. So you'd like to see a bit of a catch-up, but otherwise, things are looking pretty good. Back to you.
All right, make the trend your friend. Nigel, I like that. Guys, thanks a lot for joining us and prepping us up for this trading session. With that, it's time for our first short break on the show. But when we come back, the Rural Development Ministry seeks an additional 25,000 crore rupees for the Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. We'll bring you more details in just a bit.